Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. A little bit of a bonus show because I wasn't on this morning show. Well done to Adam. And we will have an 8 o'clock show for you tonight as well. But I hope you're all doing well. Lots to discuss this. I nearly said this morning. It's not this morning. It's this afternoon. So we're going to be talking about Ronaldo Rangnick concerns. I feel it's something that does need to be addressed because lots of people are talking about it. And there were previous comments 5 years ago quite negatively about Ronaldo from Rangnick, so we'll address that. We're also going to talk about, there's a story coming out from the Telegraph that Donny van de Beek could still leave in January. We'll address that as well as we're going to talk about Amadou Haider, who is a midfielder from Leipzig who's been linked to Manchester United, and he's a defensive I don't know whether he's a defense. He's good at tackling and he could play better than McTominay and Fred, and obviously the Leipzig links with Rangnick. So we'll talk about that, potential new signing, people out the door, and what it means for our best player, Cristiano Ronaldo, plus getting into your questions. I also was on, you might have seen me this morning, I was on Soccer Social on Sky Sports this morning, and there was a couple of things that I thought I'd bring into this show, which were, ranking the people who are at blame for United's current situation, the Glazers, Woodward, manager and the players, and also who the next manager might be, which I know Adam spoke about this morning, Ten Hag, and I think the poll they did on Sky this morning was massively Ten Hag for Manchester United. So loads and loads and loads of things to get into today. Hopefully, please smash a like on the video. But first of all, before I do that, you'll see that we are sponsored by Readerly. This show, and actually talking about the latest news. Recently I've been using Readerly to keep up to date with the best football news through their awesome selection of newspapers and magazines, and not just that as well. I mean, I'm a bit of a culture vulture. I like to read different things. Look, in late October I'll even get the Woman and Home Christmas special because it will have decorations, food, I love it. So you can download Readerly on any device and it gives you unlimited access to thousands of magazines and newspapers. Basically imagine Spotify but for magazines and newspapers. So your newspapers, your magazines, these subscriptions that you get. As I was saying earlier, I love to use Readerly as it gives me all of the latest sports news from the best newspapers and magazines in one place, so I can browse from everything in relation to football. I can everything in one place. So Guardian, Mirror, all the way through to Football League paper. It's all been great to catch up on magazines that I stopped buying, like World Soccer and 442's on there as well. So I was reading, and with Christmas coming up, it's perfect. So I was reading a great article in 442 last night about who are the best young players in Europe that are going to make it big in 2022. And there were some really interesting, obvious ones. Obviously, people like Jude Bellingham and Alf-Inge Haaland, his son Erling Haaland. However, it was interesting reading about the youngster from River Plate, whose name escapes me at the moment. It will come back to me soon. Anyway, with Readerly, there are no contracts and you can cancel any time. Best of all, if you join today, they will get you 1 month completely free. So if you'd like to read the best content anywhere, then hit the link in the description and join me in enjoying the amazing content and Readerly today. And as I said, you can get 1 month free through the link in the video description. As I said, all sorts of newspapers, magazines, 442, the lot. It's all there. And it's not messy. It's not messy. Julian Alvarez, that was the name. Smile. Well done. River Plate. Watch out for him, Julian Alvarez. Very good article in 442. And as I said, many different things that you can look at that have been coming up on the screen there. So make sure you check that out. Thank you very much to Readerly. And check it out. 1 month free. Loads of different things in your hand that you can subscribe to and read. And that's all part of the Readerly app. So you can have a month just having a look at what it's like, before you do anything. Anyway, looking spiffing today, says Fraser. Well, I have been on telly. I've been on the mainstream media TV today, This is the way we roll. But no, seriously, we will talk about that in a bit, but I want to get into the show. Let's just start off with a couple of sort of breaking news stories. Well, I say breaking news. So one about Rangnick's first signing. But I'm going to start off with this Telegraph story. There was a Telegraph story today where Manchester United are open to players leaving in January, and the names Dean Henderson and Donny van de Beek were mentioned, and that Jesse Lingard's more likely to go at the end of the season. I mean, I don't know how well sourced that article is, but I think it belongs in the same drawer as Tommy Tomato Ketchup and bullshit brown sauce, because it's just not going to happen. You can't start saying Donny van de Beek, who's been waiting for an opportunity, and Zayn Miassi just says goal. Newcastle losing to Arsenal. Arsenal now 6 points ahead of Manchester United. And if we were to lose against them on Thursday night, we could be 9 points behind them if we lose tomorrow to Chelsea as well. Just say that quietly. Loved watching your Sky Sports interview. Keep up the amazing work you do for all of us, says Mayo. Thank you very much for that. So, look, this story in the Telegraph about Donny van de Beek. No. It's not going to happen. He's not even kicked a ball for Ralf Rangnick yet, and he perfectly befits the sort of football that Ralf Rangnick will play. So I wouldn't worry too much about an article in any outlet that says Donny van der Beek is likely to leave in January, when we haven't even appointed Rangnick yet, and he's not even taken his first training session yet. So Donny van der Beek is a player that I'm totally convinced has a future at Manchester United if he wants one, and I think that that's what will happen. So I'm not concerned about that news story that's come out from the Telegraph today. Dean Henderson does need to go. I mean, unless something miraculous happens and Ralf Rangnick says, I want Dean Henderson to be my number one goalkeeper, which is his right, and if he does that, that's up to him, and De Gea would have to leave. But, one of them needs to leave, and at the moment it would be, I think David De Gea has been marvellous this season, so it would be Dean Henderson. As for Jesse Lingard, I mean, look, he had a West Ham shirt on the other week. He clearly wants to play first team football. He should have gone to West Ham anyway. I'm sure he'll be excited about Ralf Rangnick, thinking I can have another chance, because he does fall into that category of player that's been on the periphery under Solskjaer. So lots of players like Telles, Dalot, Donny, Lingard, Martial, they'll be all thinking, oh, maybe I've got a chance now under a different manager. Ultimately, if I'm Jesse Lingard, I'll say what I said in the summer. Get the claret and blue on and go and play for West Ham, because that you'll play first team football every game for there, and you'll be one of their best players. At Manchester United, you're only ever going to be a bench player. I mean, look, Ralf Rangnick might see something in you and say, I want to pick you, but eventually quality will come to the top. He isn't as good as Van der Beek. He isn't as good as Sancho. He isn't as good as Greenwood, Rashford, Bruno. So I think Lingard needs to move on, but he might be useful to us between now and the end of the season. You can't let everybody go, and it's going to be a demanding end to the season. As I said, Arsenal are now 6 points ahead of us, and they're not even in the top four. So we have a race on ourselves to get back into that top four race, and we may, we're going to play a very high intensity, fast pressing football. People like Lingard are probably going to be quite important when people are getting tired, etc. So we'll see what happens with that, but I'm not worried about Donny. The next story I want to talk about before we talk about Ronaldo, and I'll give you a little bit of hint on this. In 2016, Ralf Rangnick was asked about Messi and Ronaldo and whether he'd like them at his team, and he said no, they're too old and too expensive. So 5 years later, Ronaldo's obviously won 3 Champions Leagues, I think in that time, but no, probably hasn't in 5 years. But the reality is Ronaldo is now 36, he's at Manchester United, he's going to be 37 in February. What's the future between Ralf Rangnick and Ronaldo, and does that comment in 2016 create cause for concern? So we'll talk about that in a moment, but first of all, I think you'd be quite interested in this. There's a story come out this afternoon in the UK. I think it's via 442 actually, who you can get as part of your month free subscription with Readerly. 442 is a fantastic magazine, by the way. If you don't live in the UK, make sure you download Readerly. If you do live in the UK, make sure you download Readerly, because on your month free, where you can get all access to all these newspapers and magazines and everything like that, definitely give 442 a go. It's a really good magazine. I've been reading it since when I was when I was about 10. I used to read Shoot and Match magazine, which were a little bit more, comic-y style things. 442 was the magazine that you used to read and go, I know my shit. So feel 442, very, very good magazine. And you can get it on Readerly in your month free. But I think it's come via them through the Mirror, that Manchester United are targeting as Ralf Rangnick's first signing, Amadou Hader. And I've probably got his name completely wrong. Plays for Leipzig in the midfield, 23 years of age. Interestingly, was at Salzburg and has sort of gone from Salzburg to Leipzig over the last 5 years. Now, obviously, there's a touch point with Rangnick there because it crosses over. Rangnick, Salzburg, Leipzig, 2016 seems to be a big year, doesn't it? Because we're going to talk about that on the comment from Ronaldo. So he's definitely Hadara, that's his name. I'm calling him Hadara. I don't know loads about this player. I mean, I've seen little bits of him, but he would be a midfielder. He would be somebody who is good in, the pressing aspects of the game, which you know that's going to happen at Leipzig. He's quite good in relation to tackling, and his passing's pretty good. I mean, on paper, he is exactly what you would think is the right sort of player for Manchester United. On paper, he would come into that midfield, and on paper, Rangnick would know him in person and on paper very, very well. I've got to say, this to me feels like Manchester United need a midfielder. Ralf Rangnick's going to be the interim. Who's a midfielder at Leipzig that Ralf Rangnick's had something to do with, that's in their early 20s, that can tackle and pass? Oh, Hadara. So there. I think that story is just the story that we've seen time and time again. When you get Van Gaal, we're going for a player that he's managed. When we get Mourinho, we're going for a player that he's managed. Maybe there'll be something in it. I certainly think that he is an interesting sort of player, but probably not the sort of player that we really are in for. I mean, we might be. He certainly ticks a lot of boxes. You know, we desperately need a midfielder anyway, and regardless of whether we had Rangnick or not, I think people would look at him and go, yeah, he's quite an interesting option. Obviously, Tchouaméni's another one. Declan Rice is another one. But, you know, be interesting. I mean, hypothetically, right, we go for this lad from Leipzig, Hadara, if that's how you pronounce it, and Amadou Hadara. Got to get pronounced Hadara. I was calling you Amadou Hadar. I'm rubbish with names anyway. So imagine if we did go to Leipzig and say we want this player to be our midfielder. I wonder how Leipzig would react, because Rangnick has made that club what it is. Would we get discount? Would they go, no, you're paying full price? Would they go, we don't want to give him? I mean, it'd be interesting to see if we did go for a player like that, whether we could get a good deal. I've read Rangnick was a DM in his time, so hopefully that position will finally be solved, says Dale, 100%. You know, it's so, you know, Dale, it's so important in the system that Rangnick is going to play that you have two really good players in that midfield position. I've always said this, like that position was neglected so much by Solskjaer. It's the conductor of the team, so we've got to get somebody in there. And apparently he's got a release clause as well. Lemaire is another one who I can't pronounce, but he's another one in the midfield. So, and I'm sure he will have had a touch point with Rangnick as well. But look, you know, what I would say about Rangnick from what I know of him is, yeah, it's very easy to go and look at Leipzig and start looking at players that we can get from there because that's the team that he built. But when he was at Leipzig, where was he building it from? You know, he's got very good contacts and information around a lot of different leagues and clubs. So we don't have to go for that sort of a player that he's managed before. And we might not do. So it'd be interesting. 35 million release clause, apparently, according to Sahil. So I'm not going to get overexcited about it. As I said, to me, it's just, you know, Rangnick, Leipzig, midfielder in their early 20s, who would suit Man United. Oh, let's link United to Hadera. But maybe we do go for it. But we'll see. And I certainly don't think we need to box ourselves off to Leipzig players. I think Rangnick will have a far wider understanding of European football than Ollie and his coaches ever did. So we'll see what happens with that. But let's bring it on to Ronaldo then, because that is the title of the show. Ronaldo Rangnick fear. Now, I've been down in London today doing Sky Sports, as you may have seen. It's on my Twitter feed if you want to see it, at Mark Goldbridge. You can see a little bit of a clip of it. It's also on their YouTube channel. And I am also doing Liverpool versus Southampton and Villa Crystal Palace watch along at 3 o'clock, just keeping an eye on the 3 o'clock kickoffs on That's Football if you want to join me for that after this. But on the drive back from London today, I actually got driven down. I wasn't like the Queen or anything like that. I mean, I got a taxi. Had some time on my phone and I was reading lots of different things. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to spend half an hour. It's going to be the Ronaldo Rangnick show. It will be now, Melps. I thought, you know what? People have asked me about Rangnick and Ronaldo and how they get on the show live, and I've sort of brushed it under the carpet and gone, there won't be a problem. He's one of the greatest players in the world. Rangnick will find a way to use him. And I was driving back today. I thought, you know what? I'm actually going to look into this and see if there is any cause for concern for Ronaldo. And I think back to the story last night that some senior United players were not happy about the appointment of Rangnick being announced in the press without them knowing first. Now, I couldn't give two shits about whether the players should know first or not. You're a player for Manchester United. Your job is to play well for Man United. Your job is not to know what managers are going to be appointed and have a say on it. Harry Maguire won't even be here in 3 years. And Ronaldo won't be here in 3 years. And Bruno might not be here in 3 years. But this manager and their legacy of what they're building, and they might still be here in 3 years. So what the players think, I don't care. As I said, prawns are prawns. Footballers are pawns in a game of chess. That's what they are. Never think you're a queen or a king or a bishop or a castle or a rook. You know, you're not. Or a horse or a knight. You are pawns and you get on with your job. That's what you do. But maybe amongst that, some senior players are like, I'd like to have been discussed about Rangnick because I would have said don't get him. Now, I'm not saying Ronaldo's done that, but as I said at the start of the video, 5 years ago, there was an article an interview with Rangnick where he was asked about Ronaldo and Messi and said they're too expensive and too old. And that was Leipzig in 2016. Well, here we are, Manchester United, 5 years later, trying to be a world force again. Why would Rangnick say 5 years ago Ronaldo's too old, and then 5 years later go he's not too old? It's a throwaway comment. That's what it is. I'm not going to read too much into it. What I do read into is, should Ronaldo have concerns about Rangnick, and will Rangnick have concerns about Ronaldo? To which the honest answer is, I'm not 100% sure. I certainly think when you look at the way Rangnick plays football, it is very much about pressing intensity. But it's also about, when you get the ball, finishing the chance off quickly. And I was reading something about Rangnick a couple of weeks ago about how, he has he used to have a timer in training, so that when somebody wins the ball back, they've got 10 seconds to score a goal, or it's a reset. Now, if you've ever done any sort of training, which I have, I've been trained and I've been a trainer. The word resets is why I use United reset. Reset's quite a popular word in training, because you'll do a drill. Like, imagine it's defenders against attackers on a corner. The cross comes in, who wins it? Nobody. It comes to the edge of the box and it goes a bit dead. You just say reset, put another corner in. So what Rangnick would be doing in this situation is, you'd have a match going on, defence against attack, or probably just two teams against each other. Your job is to press high and win the ball back, and then when you win the ball back, you've got 10 seconds to score a goal, because he wants to be efficient and quick. Well, Ronaldo fits into that perfectly. If you win the ball back and you're going to attack quick, Ronaldo's probably one of the best players in the world to get the ball into his feet, get a shot off quickly. So Ronaldo in the I think the discussion we're having here is, Carrick was a midfielder too, but he rates Scott as a DM, says Matthew. I'm sick of this player worship in our club. Ronaldo FC, Bruno FC, Luke Shaw FC, Martial FC. Can we just cut these ties and focus on being a football club, says Red Baron. I agree. And I think Rangnick will do what Pep did with heart. He has a vision and no player is bigger than that vision, says Jack. Yeah, well, that's not a bad thing. Zane's in the house. He's obviously going to be feeling very, very happy because Arsenal are winning. Forget Ragnarik, the B-Tech Thor, Martinelli is back. Yeah, okay, Zane. You are playing Newcastle, who are terrible, but well done for your win. I think we all predicted that was going to happen. But I think with Rangnick and Ronaldo, if you're concerned, if you're excited, there's two things here. There's the Rangnick who wants to win the ball back and then score a goal quickly or get a shot off quickly, in which Ronaldo works perfectly, because Ronaldo wants the ball quick, he wants to be part of the quick build-up, and he wants to get a shot off, and he's one of the best shooters in the game. So Ronaldo is a big tick in relation to when we have the ball and we want to move it quickly and score a goal. Where Ronaldo's maybe not a tick is when you haven't got the ball and you're pressing the opposition high up the pitch. Well, out of the two, what would you rather have? What would you rather be working on? Ronaldo, when we get the ball, is going to be very, very, very useful. When we haven't got the ball, we need to do better. I think some people think that because Rangnick has this obsession with winning the ball high up the pitch and pressing, that Ronaldo's not going to be able to do it. Now, I blame certain ex-players for this myth anyway. You can show me stats about Ronaldo doesn't press, his press stats are not that good, but United don't press well either. I don't think we've been... Ronaldo's pressing stats this season are not great. But I feel that Cavani's pressing stats are good because he runs around like a headless chicken. And I don't mean to be offensive to Cavani, but, I've seen Cavani and he will just run. And are we a good pressing team when we've got Cavani in the team? No. But you notice Cavani running around a lot. And that's what people fall into the trap of. Like, Ronaldo doesn't run around as much as Cavani does. Cavani is relentless, and it's very impressive when you're watching it. But how many teams have we effectively pressed with Cavani? None, really. Because one man pressing doesn't make a bloody system. And Ronaldo can certainly become a player that presses for Manchester United, because we need to press better, and we will be taught how to do that. So Ronaldo can be part of a press that involves Bruno, Sancho, Van der Beek, Fred, whoever else is in the team. So I'm not massively worried about it. And, you don't spend the money Manchester United have spent on Cristiano Ronaldo to then bring a manager in who's not going to use him. We're not looking at that sort of a world. The Ronaldo deal is very important to Manchester United. And Cristiano Ronaldo is still arguably the best player in the world. So I see a very good future between Ronaldo and Rangnick. I understand people's concerns about it, but I see a very good future. I don't see a problem at all, because I think that he's going to be very, very effective. I mean, you imagine Cristiano Ronaldo in a side that wins the ball back and moves the ball quickly in space. He's going to benefit from that. I mean, he's going to prefer it much more. So I don't see a problem at all. Mark, this is off topic, but is the Varane rumour to Inter any true, says Wayne Rooney? Not heard about it. Wouldn't understand why Manchester United would be looking to sell Varane to Inter. unless we've bought him and he's got a really bad injury record. But no, Varane is a very, very, very important player for Manchester United, so I don't see anything happening with that. When I say headless chicken with Cavani, I'm not being offensive. What I'm saying is that, because he's doing it on his own, it looks good, but it isn't effective. You must press as a team. One or two players pressing is no good. You must press as a team, and And when I say a team, it's your defensive line as well. If you look at the way Liverpool do it, they'll suffocate a side, absolutely suffocate them into having to hit a long ball, which they're more than happy to deal with. Great appointment for us, but I'm still trying to understand with his reputation, why wasn't he given a chance at Bayern or Barca or Madrid or City, says Varane. But Varane, I think you're just searching for a reason to be negative there. And I'm not saying that you're being negative, but I think you're just trying to find a reason to be negative. I do understand why people are saying that. Well, why wasn't he? Well, he wasn't. But, how many people have gone and rebuilt a football club like Leipzig? And that's basically been his project for most of the last decade. So Barcelona's not really a project, is it? Real Madrid's not really a project. I mean, your job is to try and get them back, but a project is a rebuild of a football club, which is very rarely available. Florentino Perez isn't looking for somebody to come and rebuild Real Madrid from top to bottom. Barcelona aren't looking for that. Bayern Munich aren't looking for that. PSG are definitely not looking for that. So, he's a very particular manager, and I don't really think he's a manager. He's a very particular specialist who specialises in rebuilding clubs or building clubs. And, Manchester United right here, right now, fit that gap perfectly. If a team press correctly, it won't be as tiring on the individuals. The stress it's taken up by the team, says Mark Dobby. Yeah, and I think this is where Cristiano Ronaldo fails in the press. He's not going to run around like Cavani does because he hasn't got the desire or energy to do that. Cavani will happily run and run and run. It's a bit like Tevez used to run. Tevez was brilliant at pressing individually, but sometimes the crowd loved it, but he was running man to man to man. There wasn't really a system to it. And I think Ronaldo is probably a little bit wise to that, and he's like, why would I run from run to run to run to run and not get the ball? He will press in a system. Even if Ronaldo gets phased out for the benefit of the team, we have to go along with the ride. Ronaldo may play, but could be phased out long term, says Red Baron. Well, that has to happen anyway. Not this season, though. Rangnick's philosophy will be set now and follow up with the next manager. Players who cannot flourish in that system will have to move on and be ruthless, says Alexandro. I agree with you on that one. Welcome to Members Club, Red Devil Scotsman. Sorry, I'm a bit tired. I've been up since 5:30 this morning, so been to London and back, quite literally. So yeah, I understand why there is a Ronaldo Rangnick sort of concern or fear, but I think when you break it down, he's our star player. Rangnick's our new manager. They need to work together this season. Rangnick needs to score goals, and Ronaldo's the best goal scorer in the world as far as I'm concerned. And one thing that people don't talk enough about Ralf Rangnick is that he's a master in getting the best out of what he's got. Now, people will start saying he might play a 4-2-2, he might play a 4-4-2, he might play a 4-3-3. He might still play a 4-2-3-1. You could still play a 4-2-3-1 in the way that we are set up and press. So he might set a team up with what we've got now with a long-term vision to become something else. But yeah, he's not going to bench Ronaldo. Thank you, says Zayn Miasi. And we need to play a high line, and up, and I agree. We will have to play a high line. You can't play a high line with Maguire and Lindelof. So Rafael Varane is going to be very, very important to us. Am I concerned about top four? Let me have a quick look, and I'll tell you if I'm concerned about top four. Yeah, I'm live on That's Football just before 3 o'clock. Liverpool versus Southampton, and what are the 3 o'clock kickoffs? I'm looking forward to it actually. 3 o'clock kickoffs: Norwich, Wolves, Liverpool, Southampton, Crystal Palace, Villa. So I'll be keeping an eye on Liverpool, Southampton, and Crystal Palace, Villa. In relation, so you just go straight over to there after this, and we'll carry on the chat. But we're not finished yet. In relation to the league table, so Chelsea are top with 29, Man City are second with 26, Liverpool are third with 25, West Ham are fourth with 23. Arsenal have now moved up to 23 points themselves. So Manchester United are in 8th place with 17 points. Technically we could go down as low as... We could go down into the bottom half after tomorrow's game, And I think that's really an important point to sharpen your mind. We are not in a very good position. I think this week, spending time, who's the next manager going to be, who the next manager are going to be. But we're in a bad position in the league. We've got some good fixtures coming up after, we've got Brentford, Norwich, Brighton, Newcastle, Villa coming up after Palace, Arsenal and Chelsea. Is there any such thing as an easy game now? Do you see how Ollie cried when Carrick was mentioned? Yeah, Alan did. We all know who wants to press about not being included. They won nothing. They accept losing. They're our Brexit boys club, says Chris. And welcome to the members club, Sandkit. Mark, would you rather have Newcastle's current situation, new owners and relegation, or United's, Rangnick and the Glazers, says Just Connor? It's a great question, that. I'd have to have a long, hard think about that one. I don't want to get relegated, but I don't really want the Glazers in charge. I understand the hype around Rangnick and his system, but I'm still sceptical about his approach in possession and the fitness concerns with constant pressing, says Anna Rudd. Thank you, Sankit, for your super chat. And don't you think Varane and Bay is the best partnership we have, says Karan. Yeah, I do. Well, I don't, but I understand why you might think they are. I think that with Maguire, he is the captain and he cost £80 million. There is no way we are going to sell him for even half that at the moment. So we do need to try and find a solution there. Look, there's concerns about... You're always going to get this. Christmas Day, everything's great. Boxing Day, did I really want that? And I think with Rangnick, the next stage is... Obviously, people are going to start going, real life. It's like when we got Ronaldo, we were going to win everything. And then suddenly you can lose a game with Ronaldo in your team. Well, look, Rangnick's got a lot of work to do at Manchester United, and I think he's got a lot of players that maybe not, don't have the confidence of the fans, and a lot of players have got a lot of work to do. End these clash rumours by making Ronaldo captain, says Sir Nigel Farage. And so yeah, I think every player's got a clean slate. Let's see what happens. Idealistically, I know where I'd go, and Maguire wouldn't be starting for Manchester United based on his recent form and his captaincy, but I wouldn't close the door on him. I'd probably go with Varane and Bailly at the moment to give him a chance. I thought Eric Bailly was superb against Atalanta, but let's not forget that Eric Bailly has got mistakes in him and his positional sense is all over the place at times. I mean, I almost look at Bailly, Maguire and think if you could fuse them together, you'd have a really, really good centre-back. But, we need to keep Varane fit. We need him back and fit ASAP. We have been a better defensive side when Varane's been around. And what we need is... There was a clear division in that in the club under Ollie. There was favourites and people who were never going to play. What we need is... like a mini pre-season where people like Tellez and Delot and Martial and Donny and others feel like it is a new manager and I want a chance, because it's not like Rangnick's going to come into a team that's in the top four. We're nowhere near the top four at the moment, so it's not like people like McTominay and Fred can go, hey, I was first team, here I am again. 4 points from 21. Have we really got 4 points from 21? Bloody hell. Could be 4 points from 24 tomorrow. Bloody hell. I mean, that's relegation form. That is unbelievably bad. So no player other than probably De Gea and Ronaldo are really safe. Like, no player is really safe. So let's see what Rangnick does. I'm interested to see. And I definitely want... it'd be interesting to see what he does with the team tomorrow against Chelsea, because it's still Carrick, isn't it? I'd like to see Donny starting that. I'd like to see a midfield that I think Rangnick will go with, which is Fred, Donny and Bruno. I'd love to see that midfield three. The thing about Fred for me is that a lot of people will say, well, Fred's no good, but it's Fred and McTominay or it's Fred and Donny. So, he's going to play anyway. And Fred and Donny, to me, seems more like the future, but we'll see what happens. Who would be better for us between Poch and Ten Hag, depending on their playing style, according to you, says Sankit. So I was on Sky today. There was two things that we did as a sort of tier list. It was ranking the people who are responsible for the problems at Manchester United and ranking the four managers out of Rangnick, Rodgers and Poch and Ten Hag as who we wanted to be number one. Now, on the poll, it was Ten Hag by a long way. I personally went with Poch, Ten Hag, Rodgers, Rangnick, because I want Rangnick to go behind the scenes. I don't want him to be the full-time manager after this season. So I put Rodgers third, and then I put Ten Hag second and Poch first. Now, I know that most of you want Ten Hag, and if you want to watch that video, by the way, it's on my Twitter feed. I've got no problem with people wanting Ten Hag. I mean, I can't be arsed, like somebody said before, with these bloody agendas and debates. Like, ultimately, if we get Pochettino, I'm happy. If we get Ten Hag, I'm happy. The only reason I would go with Pochettino is because with Ten Hag, it's very wet behind the ears. Like, Dutch football, Champions League, but Premier League is very, very different. And I just feel that it might be a different ask for him. But on the other hand, I think Ten Hag with Rangnick helping him could be devastating. I feel that Rangnick suits Ten Hag more than he suits Poch, who I know people who've worked with Poch, not coaches, but like have interviewed Poch and been around Poch because when he was at Spurs, and they've said he's a control freak, which is a good thing, but he likes to control things. Well, how would that work with Rangnick? So maybe Ten Hag is the favourite amongst the fans, and to be honest, with the Rangnick dimension, I would say that Ten Hag is probably the favourite. I mean, Romano has quoted Poch this afternoon, Poch saying there's always going to be rumours. He wanted that job. But look, let's just wait 7 months and see what happens. I think that's the most important thing. Wait 7 months, see what happens, and then go from there, because we're not in any rush anyway. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Maguire threw the captain's armband on the floor, says Gordon. Yeah, and just very quickly, in relation to the club, I don't know how you would rank this. Maybe you want to type it in the chat. You've got the Glazers, you've got Woodward, you've got the players, you've got Ollie. We've got 4 points from 21. We're out of a title race, and we've already sacked a manager, and we're having to replace it. Up until Watford, where would you rank the blame between Woodward, Glazers, Ollie, and the players? I mean, obviously we're looking to turn a corner now, but how would you rank those? Because for me, I said players would be fourth. I think they have to take some responsibility, but obviously I think it's very, very obvious the coaching is a problem. I put Ollie in third because obviously he's got to be above the players in relation to blame, and the coaching was dreadful. I then put Ed Woodward at second because he appointed Ollie when he shouldn't have done it. He should have waited till the summer. This is his fourth manager that he's sacked, his fifth manager that he's recruited. On a footballing side, I think he's the worst CEO in the Premier League, so I'd put him second. And then first would be the Glazers, because they appointed Woodward, and they've presided over this mess with debt for 16 years. And it really is the old adage that shit rolls downhill. Glazers are first, second Woodward, third Ollie, fourth the players. And it really does roll downhill. But ultimately, you've got to put the Glazers at the top, because they employ Woodward, who employs Ollie, who picks the team. So the blame is firmly with the Glazers, and I said this morning. I've got no axe to grind with the Glazers, but they're not. I'm as much Glazers out today as I was after the Super League. I'm as much Glazers out today as I was last week when I was frustrated. I'm as much Glazers out today as I was when we won the Champions League in 2008. I just don't like them as owners. They are distant, not football fans who are about business. But you know what? When I look at the future, I also have to say, they would say, well, we've given Ollie £400 million over the last 3 years. And that is true. That is still true. And, you know, £400 million should have been used a lot better than it has been. So I agree there that the Glazers have put some money up. But where's the debt? How much have you taken out of the club over the last 10 years? What's your real ambition to win trophies? And that's my issue with that. Since Sir Alex Ferguson, there's been no one to stitch together the business and the football sides of the club. And owner's fault, chance to do that now if Glazers don't undermine it, says Sean Finity. And should have gone for Steve Bruce as interim, says Ultimate. Also as well, we're still hearing that Ed Woodward, who at the start of the year said he was going to go in the summer, then he was going to go at Christmas. Now he's going to go in April. It keeps getting put back. As soon as we get within a month of Woodward meant to be going, he keeps putting it back. Now, the rumour is that Richard Arnold will be the new CEO, and that Richard Arnold doesn't want to be involved in the football side and will take advice from specialists. So basically, Richard Arnold would be CEO, but on football matters, people like Rangnick and Murtaugh would report to him with their own ideas, and he would be happy with that. Now, Ed Woodward isn't happy with that. Ed Woodward's always tried to run everything. Just get Ed Woodward out of the club. I think this football club will become better the day Ed Woodward leaves. And he should just go. It's very obvious to me that he doesn't want to go. He's sort of like that person who, we've all got them. They moan and moan and moan about not being invited to a party. They moan and moan about not going to you invite them to the party, they say no, and then the party goes ahead and they're like, why didn't I get invited? Well, you did. And it's the other way around with Ed Woodward. It's like, he moans and moans about being the CEO and, being misinterpreted and doesn't get any credit, this, that and the other. So he leaves, but then he won't leave. Just take the hint and go. I think United will be a better run club without you. The Glazers have snubbed Poch at least 3 times by now. The truth, Timey will be on his knees. We're raising another yes man, says Andre. Yeah, which I think is why a lot of people want Tuchel. Woodward is my immediate concern. Glazers long term. Woodward has no idea what he's doing and hides it from the Glazers in the financial figures, says Mark Dobby. Look, this is the thing why I think people are excited about Rangnick, because it's actually a footballing decision that is beyond the football team, beyond the manager. So, and Joe Shue says that Woodward is bigger problem than the Glazers. Well, I tell you what, I've thoroughly enjoyed that quick sort of 35 minutes flown by. I don't normally do 35 minutes and I don't normally do a Saturday afternoon, but I wasn't on the show this morning, so I just wanted to do a little bit of a show because there was a couple of things to talk about in relation to potentially Rangnick's first signing, a story about Donny that I didn't want people to worry about. It's a load of crap. Donny's not going anywhere. New manager is like changing the tyres on a boat, and also, obviously, the Ronaldo thing was something I really wanted to discuss, and I don't think it's a concern with Ronaldo. Yes, his pressing stats are not great, but neither is the team. I think if we press as a team, Ronaldo will press as part of the team. And of course, people have become obsessed by Ronaldo's pressing. Why is Ronaldo one of the greatest footballers that ever played? Because he scores great goals. What does Rangnick want to do when he wins the ball back? Score great goals quickly. Ronaldo's perfect for that. So I'm excited to see what Ronaldo and Rangnick are going to do. That's my assessment of the situation. Please do make sure that you give Readily a go. This is an app where you can get things like 442, your newspapers, magazines, all sorts of different magazines. Subscribe to it, and you can get them all on the app at your fingertips. Now, working with United Stand, the link is in the video description. You can get your first month free on the link in the description. So 442 has a fantastic article I was talking about young players that are going to break through next year, and there's a fantastic player from River Plate, which is it's just a good magazine, 442, and it's well worth a read on that. But there's newspapers, there's all sorts of things, so make sure you check out Readly, especially with Christmas coming and things. But you can get 1 month free through that link in the top link of the description. Thank you very much to Readly. Please do give it a go. I love it because I love lots of different magazines anyway. I like film magazines and all sorts. There's loads of stuff on there. I'm going to be on That's Football in literally 4 minutes time. I'll be live on That's Football, so type it into YouTube. I'll see you on That's Football if you want to join me over there. Liverpool, Southampton and Villa Palace I'm going to be keeping an eye on, and we'll be looking at the league table and what it means for United, because if we lose tomorrow and everyone else picks up points, we could be in a dreadful position, Arsenal already winning. Anyway, I'll see you on there. Make sure you join me on That's Football literally in the next couple of minutes, and we're on at 8 o'clock tonight as well, and then tomorrow it's Chelsea again. So look, exciting times. Please smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and big shout out to Readly. Give it a go through the video description. Tell you what, that would be a great gift as well. Not a Christmas gift, but I'm thinking if you've got a partner or something like that, use the link in the description, get the month free and go, check this out, give it a try. I've thought of you. There's loads of magazines and stuff. Speak to you all in a bit. Thanks for watching.